tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
And begin it will. Welcome to the Legend of Korra after show.
Yeah. The beginning of the end. Or the end of the beginning.
And across the way from me, representing fire, is Liz Rishmawy.
Yeah, dyed my hair so you'd get it and remember. Just kidding.
Got it
but
memorized.
Yeah.
It's been a little touch and go because I think I keep calling you Earth because it's always the first one. But yeah, but you know, right next to you though, representing air, is Mr. Tauri Miller.
Yep.
And next to me, very earthy, very down to the earth.
She's a tree.
Good Miss Katie Cullen.
I think you have me confused with someone who actually is down to earth, but hey.
Just take your stance. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Quick here with water. And this is finale to season 3 as our technician apparently kills himself in the booth.
You okay in there, dude?
He closed
No, you
the door.
can't hear us.
Fine.
Never
Sorry
mind.
about that.
So there-
Yeah.
Good bit of silence
Just
there.
wanted to make sure that you're doing all right.
All right, yeah, season finale to change. Of course, oddly enough, brought a lot of changes as was promised. But let's just start unpacking this as we left off last episode. Not all was good at the Northern Air Temple. Everybody was hatting up and basically airshipping out to do something about
Tenzin's alive.
it, which is good.
Yeah.
Yay.
No one's dead yet. Yes. Enter the Void. Episode 12, because technically it was all played at once, so you don't even know what the split is. But yeah, we have 12 is Enter the Void and 13 Venom with the Red Lotus. So
A lot of questions answered, but a lot of questions brought up. But let's go join our friends on the airship as they're discussing various strategies to actually approach the air temple, running into the problem of, as we've seen with these 4 benders, together they're almost unstoppable. They're well, we could just fly in frontal assault and have that combustion girl just blow us out of the sky. Not a chance. All right, let's climb up. Okay, and then the magma guy will just melt the side of the mountain.
all right, and then Bolin's well, then I'll distract him with bird calls, and we can go like that.
Thank you, Bolin. You tried.
Yeah.
A for effort, gold star. Stop.
This is a good. Of course, I like Mako's just bird calls? Seriously? And
You're not helping.
Which has kind of been endemic of Mako this entire season. I'm trying to think of what he's really done other than give Kai a hard time, and you know.
He was also kind of in charge of the whole how do we follow
Aiwei.
Yeah.
So that's his detective skills.
He's got his one thing.
Totally.
He's been useful, just
Yeah.
not consistently.
Yeah. He's been a good meat
Or
shield.
effectively.
This was not
You
his
are an
season to
adequate
shine.
meat shield, and no one can ever take that from you.
So, but then Korra basically, she just gets up and she says, I've given it a lot of time, given it a lot of thought, and I've talked to, I've talked to Lord Zuko, and I really think I don't want to jeopardize anything. I think I want to give myself up to them. I don't want to jeopardize the Air Nation. They'll kill them.
Yeah, Korra growing as an avatar, just this moment of absolute self-sacrifice. She's just well, either I can let the avatar or just myself die, or I can let all of the air nomads and this new nation die. And she's doing that very avatar thing of putting the needs of others far before her own.
Yeah.
And I also think if the avatar can't exist, what better to leave the world in a balance by having the airbenders back? So you at least have all the benders on the planet back. So,
but of course they're not going to let her go meet him without some sort of backup plan.
Of course.
Right.
At which point we split the party.
yes, because they have numbers on their side. Zahir has no idea how many people are actually coming. So he
has no idea that the earthbenders are there.
Yeah.
Metal benders.
I mean, he could
one and the
possibly
same.
guess, but he doesn't know like the exact amount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, I just want to go back to that scene, like with the animation that was done on Korra and Janet Barney's like voice acting. Just like you could see how afraid she was to make that decision. She really didn't want to, and just like how much was conveyed in that one look of it looked like she honestly thought she was going to her death. Like no matter, even with them coming up, which once we get to like her saying like her goodbyes when they split up, you get that like bittersweetness of when Korra is saying goodbye to everybody. She has this really, really substantial fear that she's not coming back.
Well, it's danger.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what. I mean, if you're facing that kind of danger, you don't know if you'll live. I mean, it's the exact same thing that we got with Sue and Lynn later on in the episode. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's a matter of this is what has to be done. There's no other way. But like you said, backup plan. At least we have the metal benders going in from the high ground, while Bolin, Mako, Asami, and all them they're trying to see if the airbenders are there. They're trying to have them go after them.
Yeah.
So we have 3 people on an airship to go to the temple, and everyone else hanging out kind of around Lahima's peak while Korra's up at the top.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Everyone has radios.
Yeah.
which I guess is like was smart as Zahir to like set these terms of you're gonna meet us somewhere else, and so like at least so again like as Su Yin talked about, like we have the advantage of numbers that helps like mitigate that. Like he's forcing them now to divide. Like okay, so that he probably then knows that, so he's trying to force that to
Yeah.
at least move.
Yeah.
But he divided as well, which, again, together these guys are unstoppable, but again, splitting the party makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Well, no plan's perfect.
He seems to think it is.
Yeah. And so I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit. We're trying to split the scenes up so we're not like constantly dividing the episode, so it's not so confusing, right?
But I think let's start with let's start with Mako, Bolin, and Asami as they come up to the they come up to the air temple. They're greeted by Gazan out front, and if there's nothing about that doesn't automatically scream setup. It's just like, oh good, you're here. The airbenders are this way.
Exactly.
And then they're just staring at him like,
We're not going to bring them out to you. You should come all the way in here and take a look.
Yeah.
all
And
around all of
alarm
this
bell
really
should be
melty
ringing.
stone.
But there's also that whole thing where they're Zahir is not going to give the message to Gazan to let them go. So we think they're there still
Yeah.
Until Korra actually gives herself up first, because he mentioned that on the radio when Korra radioed in. He's like, no, and lose my biggest playing card. Like, no, you have to give yourself up first.
Yeah.
So
They make their way down the hall to where Tenzin is. Oh, Tenzin.
Tenzin is beaten very badly.
Beaten and tied up.
Yeah, but he's also gagged, so there's another red flag right there that he can't say anything.
And all of the air nomads have their hoods up or have
Yes,
hoods on.
Exactly. Not shady at all. Get it?
course
Shady
not.
because their hoods are up.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-bop.
Denied.
But that was such a cool scene, though, because I mean, and we're going to jump back to Korra in a second. But when basically she gives herself up, we see just because I was wondering too, like, why are their hoods up? And then freaking Ming-Hua, like the freaking
She is hooded in the back, and she has bent water into forms that resemble kneeling human beings.
Yes,
and then they
in
just
the
put
robes,
hoods on them.
Which I'm like curious. I'm like,
Genius.
it's genius, but I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you do that so well that you're not getting the clothes wet?
Well,
She is so broken.
I had
She
assumed
is so broken.
it was like more ice than water, and then she just melted
yeah,
it that
it makes
way.
sense.
That would make
makes
sense,
sense.
too.
Well, that and we've seen like other waterbenders, like actually if their clothes get wet, they just go swipe and it's dry.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So,
She's extremely broken. They all are.
Yeah.
But by
um,
the time they're able to radio, it's a trap. It's a trap. Korra's already in chains.
and
Where was
platinum
Admiral
chains. But yeah, and then there's that whole moment too. Just going back real quick, it happened before the meeting with Zahir meditating too. I just want to kind of think that's important to bring up before the whole thing, because we're going to get into a lot of the fights.
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, but he's meditating and he's trying to do that, be empty and become wind and enter the void. And he has that moment where we find out a little background about him and Pali, and their romance together about, you know,
Right.
we get that connection, which I think is nice because remember, these are bad guys, but there's a lot to them.
They're evil, but I ship it.
Yeah.
Well, it's more that like we call them evil. They're they're anarchists. They truly and utterly believe like
what they're doing is right.
Right,
Like we
yeah.
say in a lot of different shows, most shows, the bad guys don't think they're bad. They think they're doing for the greater good.
Right.
You know,
They are the heroes of their own story.
Exactly.
That's what makes a good antagonist.
exactly. And then
and as we see, like Zahir, like apparently saved Pali
from some warlord.
From a warlord.
From
yeah.
being a warlord's personal
killing
sniper.
machine.
Yeah.
Yes, and then she's been dedicated to him ever since. And they said
So she
they're-
became Zahir's killing machine. Venom.
well.
Great
Wouldn't they have
agency
to?
choices.
She's kind of her own killing machine, but she's just devoted to Zahir.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
But there's definitely a love there, and it's nice to see. Usually I'm used to like when they're such a devoted like servant, so to speak, that they're in love with somebody. Usually that guy's just using them, but it's nice to see that they actually have this deep bond and connection. Like there was no doubt. I thought of you nonstop when all those years in jail, you know, so that was nice. And then we go back to the actual scene, and I guess now would be time to flash forward up to when Korra is giving herself up. Now she's in platinum chains.
And then Mako just like radios in, just screaming through the radio.
Don't give
It's a
yourself
trap.
up.
It's a trap. They're not here.
Exactly.
And then Korra managing to do some impressive bending with both her hands and feet bound. I was,
Yeah.
It was great.
I was
That was
actually kind of
awesome.
surprised throughout this entire fight scene how she was able to like keep up with Zahir, who
Yeah.
we've seen as a. Well, he's not as good as Tenzin at airbending, but like who really
Yeah.
would be?
Well, then
Right.
again, Korra also has Tonrock, her dad, and he's there too. He kind of jumps in to fight Zahir as well, so she's got at least some sort of support for at least momentarily.
And the metal benders are trying to take care of Pali,
Exactly.
who is putting up one hell of a fight
yeah.
because she knows how to curve the bullet.
Yeah,
Curve the bullet and make explosions.
yeah. Which
Curve
is
the explosive bullet.
Yes, and there's at one point where Korra gets that enragement thing because she thinks Zahir killed Tonrock because he basically blows him over a hill, and we
Just
don't.
like, bye.
We find out, but Korra does not find out till much later that he is alive. He was saved by one of the captain
metal
of the
benders,
metal
yeah.
benders.
Vera is her name.
Vera, which
Who we
she
are
just
meeting for the first time.
randomly got a name in the middle of the finale. It's
because
like
you know
you
damn
are
well
going to
she's
show up.
She's going to show
Yeah.
up in the
Well,
next season.
season 4 has already been greenlit, so now
Yeah.
we know who's going to be important.
I was
Right.
expecting her to be important before the end of the finale itself. I was expecting her to be Red Lotus or to be something.
Yeah.
And then
She
it was
could
just
be.
like,
I mean-
I have a name. Bye.
Yeah.
Tap dances off
yeah.
stage.
Well, there have been rumors like floating around that Su Yin was actually Red Lotus, and I thought like so the throughout the entirety of this finale is like, okay, is this when she's going to stab the knife and twist? Is this when she's going?
I know you guys mentioned it in the last couple episodes when we last recapped together. I don't know. Maybe I'm just.
I think she
I
would have
like
put,
her too much.
even if she were, I think she would have put Opal
Yeah.
above the Red Lotus. So
Right.
the
Yeah.
plan suddenly putting her daughter in danger is where she'd be like, I don't think so. Not happening.
Yeah.
So I think her caring about Opal and having Opal in this dangerous position is kind of what absolves her of suspicion.
Yeah.
I could be dead wrong and we could have some really great upheavals in season 4.
Yeah. It's
true.
But for now, that's what this looks like.
But basically, there's like so many scenes here, and I think he's staying on top of the peak. Though that's when we get that really awesome scene where, with the metal benders, because you know they're basically like you said, police just kicking butt. I mean, she's just combustion left, right, and we have that moment with Lynn and Sue basically like embracing each other and just like what are we gonna do?
Well, Lynn has said it's like somebody's got to distract
Yeah.
her. I'm gonna go do it.
And then
Su-
just they have that nice moment though, because all the hate in the beginning of the
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
and then just I love you, and again,
Yeah.
kind of like with Korra saying her but goodbye. You don't know, you might die,
Yeah.
And
it was looking really, really bad for Lin Pei Li. Had her dead to rights right in front
boom,
of her.
like
Right.
she did the rock, and then just boom,
Yeah.
not enough.
But then Sue just coming out of left field, like I
Was it a
wouldn't.
metal
Sue
plate
came
or-
into this
It was her,
wearing her
chest
armor.
plate.
Chest
Yeah.
plate.
She had a chest plate that had short sleeves and went all the way around.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
almost like an
But
armor crop
at that
top.
perfect
Right.
moment, though, like more perfect than freaking Bolin cracking her right in the forehead with a rock. Just at that exact moment where she can't stop the combustion and just boom, and
Yeah.
she
bent
She
the
envelops
chest
the
her
metal
face.
right around her
Lee.
freaking head.
Yeah.
And
So it
and
looks like an armored
you
helmet.
see that like cherry red like point
Oh,
where
you
it's like
see
where
it explode inside.
yeah,
Yeah.
like where it starts and then just
Very quick cutaway.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Yes.
right at that moment. You don't even hear a sound effect.
Yeah, they're
like,
censored.
I
The
think-
censorship is nice because we have to remember that this show, as much as it's all age groups and a lot of older fans, it is Y7. So
Right.
we're trying. it's enough that there's death involved in
yeah.
the fighting, but I think it's nice though. Like I don't need to see her actual, like I watch Walking Dead for that kind of similar stuff, you know.
Right.
So we know she's dead because we see Zahir. It flashes to him like, Polly, no, you know. So
And we see the column of black smoke,
Yeah.
totally
So you know
obscuring
things-
what is no doubt the decapitated body.
well,
Yeah.
or at
Honestly,
least exploded.
Yeah.
You know, it works for little kids because they don't see awful things going down. And then for the older audience, it's that much creepier that
Yeah.
there's no sound
It's
effect, that you don't
intense.
see what happened. It leaves it to your imagination.
Yeah.
And after you've been watching Walking Dead and whatnot, you're kind of like, I might have an idea of what that looks like.
Yeah, but
I don't want it.
but it's kind
Yeah.
of strange that they held back on this, but not just 2 episodes ago. We saw the Earth Queen just violently suffocate in front
but
of
there
us.
was no blood.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they also flashed
That-
away from her, but they didn't like watch her collapse, lifeless
Like,
body.
yeah.
They didn't show that.
Yeah, they didn't show the last 3 feet of her falling,
you
but
know, but anyway, but then keeping on to this because I think the bigger scene is with Ghazan and Mako and gang.
Yeah.
So that happens. Zahir basically grabs Korra. And this is the part where he does the meditating thing we got into before when he was like trying to focus but didn't, and then he had the scene with Pali, and he basically enters this void. This is the reason why the title of the episode is this. It's Enters the Void, and he just Superman's off.
He just flies,
Yeah.
not airbending, not anything like that, just
actual
he
flies.
becomes
Becomes the
Wynn.
Wynn.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does. And then we have Ghazan with that, guess he didn't need a ride.
Well, and that's... You have to think that Guru Lahima must have been a sad, lonely man.
Well, we see
because
what
we
it-
have no earthly connections and no nothing, and because of that, I can fly. It's like, yeah, but is it worth it?
Yeah.
I mean, well, we see like what it takes to. I mean,
Yeah, you have to let go of
Right.
everything. It's like legit Buddhist monk kind of thing. Like you have no attachment to the earth.
Yeah.
The reason the avatar has to have an attachment to the earth because he's the avatar or she. So as we remember from older episodes with Aang. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's even like going when Aang was trying to achieve the avatar state, when he was going like up and up and up, and when he reaches that cosmic level, which is kind of where Zahir is at, that total
Yeah.
cosmic detachment.
Yeah.
It's like leaving the things that we most describe as human
Yeah.
behind. Like
Yeah.
he's essentially sacrificed his humanity for this ability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that so that being said, it goes back into now Korra's captured and Ghazan and now we have Ghazan still going back fighting.
Well,
Bolin
Yeah,
and
should we
Gang.
go back? and,
We're doing a lot of
We'll
flashbacks.
switch back. Well, we'll switch back to the air temple. Like, well, Ghazan and Minghua, like they flee and they get onto
Yeah.
their airship, which Ghazan
They
the
were-
entire
yeah.
way is just melting the northern air temple. Like
Yeah.
it had already gotten beat up from the
Yeah.
fight before, but now he's just like, and so improvised volcano.
Lava,
This-
lava, lava.
Slag.
Yeah, but I mean, we didn't want to skip into scenes too much. Going back when they were still in there, we had. Basically, they trap them. Like that was
Yeah.
really wasn't
Yes.
even a huge fight scene that comes later in the second half of the season finale. But they trap them, and Bolin and Gang and are just trying to get Tenzin out.
Right.
And we constant rock bending is not helping. Lava's getting through.
Yeah, and they like Tenzin said, "Is like I know a different way out," which we go
through that
call.
wall.
Yeah, which we get the call back to Avatar: The Last Airbender with that secret passageway
Yeah.
that the inventor had used for the Fire Nation
Yes.
generals to
Yes,
come
yes,
up there,
yes.
using that
Yes.
oddly enough to escape fire.
Yeah, lava. And
Close
then,
enough.
And then
Yeah.
they basically are running out of room and time, and then that's when Bolin just and then he's a lava bender. Who knew?
Not surprised.
He didn't.
Yeah, well, that was the
surprised.
greatest
Just
line that
found
he
out
said too.
right
He's
now.
like, I know. He's like, I know. I just found out right now, and it was just, oh, Bolin.
Well, that could be part of the reason he was having so much trouble with metal bending, is
Yeah,
because
well,
that's not going to be your
that's not your forte.
going to be your cutie mark.
Right.
Your cutie mark's
And
going to
then-
be lava bending.
And then who pops up, and because still they'd be kind of screwed than just stuck there. But then we
Yeah.
have Kai come in again, and he's on the baby bison, and
Lefty.
Hi guys. Yeah, right.
and and takes them back where everybody basically meets back down in the fields. I guess where it looked like the fields where all the bison were originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I guess
they're all recapping basically, and then poor Kai's just trying to tell them like, I know where they are, and everybody's like, why didn't you say so before? Where they're all basically
trying.
They're all just basically going on about how like, dude, he can fly.
Right.
So
Pretty much.
no one listens to the kid.
Of course not. Why would we ever? I mean, what?
Yeah, no, it's also a good point. It's Kai. It's just like he's this troublemaker little rapscallion, and then like they're just like, well, we have to find out where they are. And Kai's like, yeah, guys, I know. It's like, no, but we gotta find. Shut the hell up, kid.
Yeah,
we gotta find out. And
exactly.
So it's a classic. It's a classic little piece of comedy right there.
And I think at this point, I can't tell because when I watched it online, it doesn't really give you a break of what the change of the episode is. But I would assume
It
this
gives
is
you
the
a
point.
title card, but I don't really. But I'm not sure if
it's
Korra
right-
wakes up before or after that title
Yeah.
card.
No, it's actually. Sorry, no, go ahead, Tori.
It's right when they're about to administer the poison, like the last line.
You're right. So
Yeah.
we're still
Okay.
into this one a little bit, but yeah.
Right.
So basically, they know that where they have to go now, and Kai's trying to explain to them, look, the reason I came back is because I saw where they're hiding out, but there's more Red Lotus members. Like I couldn't take. I mean, he couldn't take on just even like probably one of the freaking original
Right.
bad four.
He'd be hosed.
But knowing that there were so many there, he came back hoping and knowing that there would be help at the temple.
Yeah.
That they were coming for them. So, and then we had that nice scene with Mako and Kai like making up.
But poor Tenzin watching that temple melt as it flew away.
But
That,
then Oogie came and it was okay because it was Oogie.
because
But,
Oogie.
but I think as I mean the season is titled Change, and we've all seen that Tenzin's attempts to basically just recreate the Air Nation as his father knew it are just like doomed to failure. So we see this, and this is kind of like the last vestiges of the old air nomads. Like they're not coming back. Like we have these new air nomads. They're going to be something new.
Yeah.
And this is like the final nail in the coffin.
And we get into that at the very, very end, which is great because again, that is an unspoken thing that you notice throughout the entire season of it's like failing, and then we get that, which is nice. And then. Oh man, this is where it gets crazy. So they're at the caves, and this is when we know about Minghua asking about the flying thing, and unfortunately unfortunately for them, they find out about police passing. She sacrificed herself for the good of the cause, and that's why he's also much more determined to make sure that they win.
Yeah.
And then we have Korra chained to this cave, and she's depressed. She thinks her dad's dead, and
I don't know if she's depressed. She's
angry.
raging fire.
She's raging, but I mean, the pain. It's painful. It's painful, and then
She threatens their life.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll get out of here, and I will kill all of you.
yeah.
And she's chained. They chain her over a pool of water.
Yeah.
Limbs out.
Yeah.
And obviously platinum chains, so she can't bend them. But it's just
Yeah.
like this is.
Well, I guess the
Boy,
water
is this
would
a
be
setup if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, but the water would cost to be for Minghua's to throw at her too. So, but
I'm just saying in general. This looks like a final battle scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
And and then they just kind of go into the whole telling what the bad guys usually do is tell exactly what they're planning on doing.
You got me monologuing.
And they talk about, hey, this is poison. We're going to kill you. You know what this means. We're going to make you go into the avatar state. So when we off you, that is the end. You will be the last avatar.
Ever. Of all time.
We will kill the cycle, and then everything will return to the natural order of things. There is no government. There's no
kings,
different
no queens.
kingdoms, no kings,
Yeah.
no queens. And the man can just, work on himself. His only requirement is to worry about himself,
And those that he loves. Those are the only allegiance that he lies. Like,
Exactly.
Because chaos.
Yes.
Anarchists.
All the while, Janora's basically astro projecting and sees all this. So good for that.
This is kind of an interesting villain for a kids show. Like we don't see like somebody. It's usually somebody who like they want to take over the world or they want to destroy.
Yeah, this is like
everything.
anarchy.
Yeah, like it's somebody that honestly believes that for the good of the world and all people, that nations and these things that like tie us down should be destroyed. Which again, like Zahir is supposed to represent that like
it's a very
mega
interesting
airbender
concept, though. I mean, like we've never had a villain like this in the series. It's always about world domination or we're going to take over. I mean, then that's normally the theme in a lot of shows, but this is a nice twist, I think, especially for a quote unquote kid show.
Right.
Well, keep in mind that we are comparing to Last Airbender, which had the same villain for 3 seasons.
Yes.
And then these past 2 that we've had.
Yeah, which is really cool. So, I mean, I like it. But so you know, the poison's administered eventually. We get to that.
Which is kind of like a horrifying scene of like it seeping in and like Korra's
like mercury basically.
And then like those close-ups on Korra's eyes
and the hallucinations.
They keep trying, like they keep just like showing like she's fading in and out, trying to not go into the avatar state.
I mean, and good for. I mean, and she lasted pretty long too. But just the whole hallucinating every single villain she's come across, and them all going like let go, and then I'm thinking let it go, let it go. Thank you for being there with me, Katie.
Of course. I watched this after midnight. I was there.
But I think now would be a good time because that last part's like the huge juiciness of it. It would be good to just kind of go to where the Airbenders are now. And, you know, so Jinora astral projects basically back in like, you know, and they're like, oh, well, Korra's going to come and save us, right? And she's like, I think we're on our own, guys. We should try to figure this out.
What I adore is this stupid Red Lotus guard just complaining. We don't have Bolin right now, so we have someone else's. We have someone else's comedic effect.
Right.
Why am I stuck with babysitting duty? I want to be over there watching the Avatar die. I can hold a bowl.
Yeah.
If those are your only qualifications, you should not be proud.
Yeah.
Honey, no.
Which is also kind of a little bit telling about the Red Lotus, because initially we just thought it might be like these four people, and then like we found out Unalaq was in on it. It's like, oh, okay, well that's like, you know, that's like a conspiracy of like kind of these demigods. But then like, and then Aiwei was part of it too. So it's like, okay, so it's more of this top level thing. And now we see that there's just these random.
I think they're everywhere. I mean, that's, and that we get it to the end of the episode too, where we know that they're still probably out there, even if it's not these particular.
But it's a
guys.
lot more widespread than I initially
I mean, it's
thought.
like the White Lotus, except the bad, evil version of White Lotus.
Purpose of a secret society.
So
it's the Masons.
So so
evil.
They're trying to figure out what they could do, and then they're very quick and clever. Oh, I'm really thirsty. I have to go to the bathroom, and you know the guard's like, shut up. And then the mom, please, with the baby, please, we have children and a baby, and we just, you know. So he, oh, good, you're a human. Actually goes to do that, and then Jinora airbends and gets the keys off. And I think at this point, I was kind of surprised with the next scene because I thought, okay, they're going to get themselves out of it. And then before he's just drinking water, we have like a freaking rock fly at the guards.
Well, Opal like goes to unlock herself, and then it's like, hey, what are you doing? It's just kind of like, oh yeah, I should probably wait until their backs are turned at least.
But then you know, perfect timing, and then we have the rest of the gang coming in and you know, basically saving everybody and.
Bolin tearing Suyin away from her daughter so he can hug Opal.
Hysterical.
Oh my gosh.
Best scene.
But let's talk about the Red Lotus's actual plan for killing. Like they said, this like, okay, we're going to give this poison. It's going to induce the Avatar state, and we're going to kill you while you're in the Avatar state.
Right.
So we're going to make you as strong as you possibly can be.
Yeah, but they didn't expect her to break the platinum chains.
She didn't break the platinum chains. She yanked them out of the wall.
Right. Like.
Like the point where the platinum stops is the point where your plan falls apart.
Exactly. We're going to put this platinum in Earth, which you can bend.
Exactly.
I don't. Maybe I mean, platinum's expensive. They already had like several sets of platinum chains. Like, what are they going to do? Like platinum anchors directly into?
That's why they're all wearing the same clothes all the time and in caves. So that's where all the money went to.
But there really wouldn't have been another way to do it unless they somehow had it, I don't know, connected to something else that she'd never be able to bend.
Yeah.
Point being, you're always going to come back to rooting it in some sort of rock or earth.
Yeah.
And that's where your plan falls apart.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, so Jinora, you know, after the Airbenders in her base say, Jinora basically says, where they're like, we have to look for Korra, and she's like, I know where she is. So it cuts over back to the scene where we have Korra basically in her awesome Avatar state.
Because she has to be at this point because it's the only way to keep the Mercury from killing her.
Oh, but she just full on hulks out. Like this is
very much like when Aang was fighting the Fire Lord.
Oh, I think this is like Aang fighting the Fire Lord was like righteous fury. This is pure animalistic rage, which is like
turned into the fish.
And she's fighting into the poison. So she's fighting and she's fighting the poison. So it's like double strength time, double down time.
Yeah.
I almost rewatched that scene and just like queued up what is bodies by Brownie Pool, because it was just like that. It's like she tears it out, you know, just kicks the crap out of everybody, and then Zahir flies off, and then she proceeds to jump after him like the Incredible Hulk.
Exactly.
Right.
And then so she's like flying off and tens and watches, but you know the whole thing, and then he reunites with his family, yada yada, and then that's when we get all the fights,
Yada yada, whatever. Well, you know what this is for her. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yeah, like, going back to that, like, Aang Korra comparison with Aang going up against the Fire Lord, I thought, oh, he's going to execute him. With Korra going up against Zahir, it's like, oh, this is going to be straight murder.
Yeah. There's a difference between righteous fury, this needs to end, and whoa, he gonna die. But, Tauri, you were saying a thing.
I was just gonna say, I love that she was using the fire flying, which is an excellent counter to the the air
flying.
Yes, the flying.
She's a fire flying type.
Yes.
And then just Tonrock's line of, we have to help her. I think she's fine on her own. Because next scene we see her picking up a mountain and throwing it. I think she's good.
Yeah, for now. But I think importantly to go into like all the mini fights. Mako's fighting Ghazan and Minghua and with Bolin. Bolin basically finally they have that little twerk thing. He's like, well, I learned something new, and showing that he's lava bending.
Oh yeah.
Minghua being super awesome, and Mako thinking he has her cornered because there's no water. She dives down and, oh, look, a water lagoon.
So he dives down after her like the smart person he is.
Well, he didn't know.
There's a splash sound effect as soon as she dived down. Like, if there wasn't that.
I think in the moment, though, you're fighting, and he's probably in midair by the time he heard the splash. But thinking on his feet, there we have Mako, stand up, because we were making a joke that what good was he this season? And he electrically, he zaps her. Yeah. He electrocutes her, basically.
Unleash the power of Thor!
He should have done that episodes ago.
Right?
But she was actually in the water with the 8-arm thing.
He didn't shoot her, he shot the water.
Yeah, and he was on the rock. So smart, yay, we know
there was a swimming pool involved 3 episodes ago. What the hell, Mom? What have you been doing?
But he was in the swimming pool, or Bolin
was in the swimming pool. So, and he was already iced to it. So he,
I figure that he had that in his back pocket since season 1. There is no reason not to pull it out at an earlier time and do everything you can to take these people out. Why would he save that?
Well, it's good
because it's dramatic.
It's dramatic.
It's dumb.
Because you don't play your trump card on your opening hand. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah, you play your trump card when you're getting your butt kicked and you need to prevent your friend from getting kidnapped. Oh, wait. Oops.
Anyway, it happened. So basically, we have that happening, and then when we get up to the part with Ghazan, Mako goes to join Bolin, who's faring pretty well on his own. Lava versus lava. I mean, really, it's not going to be pretty. And
all I'm doing is giving him ammo.
But Ghazan, knows that he's not going to win against both of them, and he just basically says, I'm never going back to prison. If I'm going down, you're going with me.
Ghazan, you self-destruct.
Just literally, that's what it was. Effective. It was just lava and rocks and just chaos, where I just kind of find it funny, though, because it was, Bolin and Mako just like, hup, 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 jump back, and he just basically kind of commits... So what is it?
Suicide.
Seppuku.
I don't know if it was honorable suicide, but it was definitely...
this wasn't seppuku. This was just death.
This was just raising the middle finger. This is like the Predator at the end of the movie hitting the self-destruct and laughing in Arnold's face. That's what this was.
And then, but then, luckily, because that takes care of the other 3,
we spoil the end of Predator.
We get to...
it was released in the 80s. If you haven't seen it yet...
20, 30 years ago.
I guess send a nasty tweet my way. I don't care.
No, I'm going to get all of them. What do you mean you haven't seen Predator?
I'd like to imagine someone was going to watch it right after this podcast.
Hey, spoiler alert, Arnold wins. Who didn't see that coming?
So, Korra's basically falling, and Zahir's, they're fighting.
You can't fight me and the poison at the same time.
Exactly.
But that all of that scene of like them flying through the air, it was a lot like Aang versus the Fire Lord, but
reversed.
More. Oh God, more intense.
Yeah.
Just that much more.
And meanwhile, on the bottom, we see all the airbenders. They're kind of just looking helplessly, and Jinora makes that point saying like, never before, they're talking about him flying and how there hasn't been somebody who could do that within thousands of years.
Yeah.
And then she makes a point, well, maybe not thousands of years, but there haven't been a large collective amount of airbenders together. We can do something too. Yeah. And they start doing the tornado swirl, and then
tornado squad,
which
helped out because just as Korra was getting that solid upper hand on Zahir, it was just the poison.
The poison just kicked in. That's when Katie was reiterated, you can't fight both the poison and me.
And then basically Zahir got really lucky that he lasted that long.
Yeah. But he starts to do the same attack move that he did to the
taking the breath
bending, and then that's when the tornado starts suctioning them back in, and he cannot fight. It's too strong. He can't fly through it. He can't bend away from it. And just as it looks like maybe it's just going to get Korra and he might be able to get out without him, she
whips the chain around his leg and
pulls him down. And and then we have that great thing where she's on the floor. They're like, "Quick, get him!" And then rock him so only his head's showing. Yeah. And it's just this moment of, oh God, Korra.
But he's going, the Avatar's going to die. We're going to break the cycle. Yes. He's basically lost it at this point.
Yeah. Well, when Jinora, after she tells Sue, hey, you can help her, the poison is metal-based. So, as she does, takes the poison out, and then that's when Korra sees that her dad's alive. So, yay. That's good to wake up on. And basically, Bolin, we end the night. It was a nice scene to end it on. Bolin shoves his sock into Zahir's mouth.
I put a sock in it.
You see what I did there? I literally put a sock in it.
I do what I do.
But then, cut to 2 weeks later, we see Korra in a wheelchair.
Yeah. And she's obviously really depressed and bummed out, and
not just depressed. She's still physically destroyed.
It looks like the Winter Soldier did her eyeliner.
Yeah,
but she's not wearing eyeliner. She's just that tired.
She's sick. Yeah. Well, she's sick though. She's sickly. She's still trying to recuperate, and that's why everybody's trying to encourage her. Look, it's only been 2 weeks, and you're doing great. It's just going to take some time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and the mayor's like, we'd like to welcome you back to Republic City.
President?
Yeah.
President tight pants.
And he, what?
President helpful.
But for as jerky as this guy is, he makes a good point. I mean, after he goes away, he says, I'm sorry we left off on things that were bad, but I do want to formally thank you for saving the world from terrorism. And then, so I think it was Lynn and, Korra basically goes up to the ceremony, whatever they're about to do up there, and you have that moment of a lot of foreshadowing for whatever's going to happen for next season, because the president makes a statement look, I know now, the world needs the Avatar, especially now we have all these groups of everybody there's terrorists, and the world is getting more and more dangerous,
and the Earth Kingdom has gone up in smoke.
Exactly. The Queen's so it's but who's going to protect the world when the Avatar's in a wheelchair?
The new Jedi Order, the Air Nomads.
Yes, exactly. So we flash forward into the ceremony, which is Jinora's ceremony.
Her master ceremony. This is when she gets her tattoos, which did anybody think it's wow, they just copy and pasted Aang in there?
Yeah.
So much like
eyes
Aang.
were the same. It was the same eyes.
She has pointier ears.
But stunningly similar.
Yeah. Well, it was her grandfather, so.
Yeah.
Right.
But before that, we do get Tenzin making the speech about how, what a great moment it is. She's the first master airbender in a generation, and how now, again, what we took from before, he's not going to go about taking this air nation into the same way that it has always been for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years. We're gonna rebuild on the air nation, but we will reclaim the temples, but also go around the world, and we will help restore the balance and the peace in the world on behalf in the Avatar's footsteps while she heals, and probably even then some after she's better. So, and then that's when we see the awesome clip of who is that? Oh my gosh, Jinora, she's bald.
and with her master tattoos.
Yeah, awesome. And then we have that really cool scene with the airbenders, making the wind chimes and
the incense.
Oh, yeah.
But then we have that really
very last shot
closes on Korra looking sickly in the end. So
single tear,
yeah,
which is just
it's a win, but it's not a win.
Yeah,
life sucks for Korra right now.
Yeah,
because if you look at these 3 seasons, her entire identity from the get-go has been based on she's the Avatar. She's been that since she was a little kid. So you have you have Amon, who takes away her bending, if only temporarily. You have this dark Avatar show up in our last season 2 and try to completely destroy her.
And now she can't.
Then you have
she can't communicate with any of the past lives.
Can't communicate with her past lives, and now she's physically unable to perform her duties. So we think.
Yeah.
Well, so all of this has been her identity taking a beating, and then top it off with Tenzin going, "We'll take care of it. It's okay.
Yeah.
I know he means to help, but that was probably one of the worst things he could have said to her."
Right.
I'm just gonna. I know John's aware of this too, but like I'm gonna say that maybe we should kind of just give our last thoughts on what we think is gonna what we think about this season, what's gonna happen for next season. Because
do we have a
are running out
prediction
of time.
sound effect?
There we go.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I don't usually get this. I'm very happy.
Well, let's start off going around the table. Start off, Tauri.
Cool. So, something that I had since the beginning wanted to explore more is the fact that spirits are now a thing. Like in one of the first episodes, we see a bunch of people essentially having a protest about the integration of spirits into society, and I wanted so much of that. I wanted it to be like a civil rightsy thing, like the whole segregation integration thing, because that would be awesome. I mean, it's a thing that they haven't explored yet.
Yeah. They can go into it next season. I mean, there's so much to it.
No, they had an entire season called Spirits, which had very little spirits. For most,
Yeah.
Right.
So hopefully we'll touch on that more.
All right.
Oh,
Lit.
I have one more thing. Me and the internet think that Kuvira is evil.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I got a name in the finale.
Yay.
And nothing else.
All right, we'll switch over to Miss Katie Cullen.
What?
For next season.
Next season.
Yeah. More Red Lotus. I would like to see them popping out of the woodwork. People that we've already seen.
Yeah.
The president, maybe. I'd love to see more Red Lotus. I'm with Tauri. I would love to see more spirits. And I want to see how Korra handles this. I want her to spend the entire next season in a wheelchair.
Yes.
Just to see
I think
what
she's not going to
goes
be able to
down.
actually do anything unless she goes into the Avatar state. I think that's what's going to happen.
I'd like to see her recover enough to kind of get things going again. I mean, we already know that she can breathe fire, and we've seen that it's possible to waterbend without arms.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see her try and developing that, try and get back to more of a spiritual equilibrium, because she is in a pretty terrible mental state right now.
Yeah.
But I do want to see her still be the Avatar from that wheelchair.
Yeah.
Well, piggybacking off of that, I'd like to see her take more of a leadership role. Like she's always been trying to do everything herself, and this is a good opportunity for her to become more of a general. Give orders.
Delegate.
Strategic.
Yeah. So,
Liz?
Basically, everybody's already said what I thought. And I want more spirits, I think, because she's kind of like physically unable to do everything she's done. She's going to have to think more, be more strategic, tune in with her spirituality more. And again, I want more Red Lotus. I want more of this corruption and like really awesome plot line for like anarchy and like the world just kind of being kind of like our world. Our world's kind of messed up. So
It's Chekhov's secret organization.
What I want to see is I want to see the Fire Nation next episode. I actually want to go to the Fire Nation. I want to see the fire. I want to see Zuko's daughter.
Yeah.
And I also really, what I think we're going to see a lot of is the new air nomads wandering through the Earth Nation, and then I think that there's going to be that story of in the Earth Kingdom with the air nomads trying to set things right, and I think that's going to center around Kai and Jinora, possibly Opal as well, and I think Bolin might be tossed in on all that. And then in the Fire Nation, we're going to get a lot more like political intrigue and conspiracy with the Red Lotus, especially them. And possibly some like high yield paranoia from Zuko when there's an attempt on his daughter's life. So
there you go.
Nice.
Well, this was a very good season, and I'm excited. Oh, and you guys, thank you so much for listening in the entire time.
Yeah.
iTunes, man. iTunes, please, rate us on iTunes, comment. We will be back hopefully next season, the same panel.
Yeah,
with
that'd be
any
great.
luck.
with any luck, well,
rate 5 stars, and hopefully we can start on time so we can do episode by episode.
Yeah, that would be great.
well. Looking forward to seeing you guys next season, and we'll start going the rounds.
Oh, sweet. Hi, you can catch me on Twitter at TauriJ. That's TaurijAY. You can also catch me on the Sword Art Online panel and the Extant panel. Booyah, Liz.
Hey, you guys can find me, Liz Rishmawy, at Lizzie Maui, LIZZYMAWY, on Twitter and Instagram. You can also catch me on the Sword Art Online panel with Katie and Tauri, and you can also find me on a couple of occasional episodes sporadically for Doctor Who.
My name's Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. You can also find me on Sundays on the Sword Art Online and Attack on Titan panel, every other Thursday on the Ruby panel, and at some point on the Doctor Who Classics panel.
Yay.
Nice.
And my name is John Quick. You can find me at Twitter at @NowQuick and also on the Attack on Titan panel. So we'll see you guys next season. Looking
Thanks
forward
for
to
joining
it.
us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.